Hello everyone, welcome back to Totally Awesome History News, where we look at totally awesome things from history that have made the news. In this episode of Totally Awesome History News, we're looking at two of my favorite subjects, history and UFOs. It's bound to be, wait for it, out of this world. Get it? Out of this world, UFOs. Okay. In an article that appeared on the History.com website, we hear about something that when it took place was a pretty big deal, even confounding investigators from Project Blue Book, the special Air Force program for the investigation of UFOs that ran from 1947 to 1969. Starting in Los Alamos, New Mexico in 1948, people started seeing mysterious green lights at night, which came to be referred to as fireballs. And these weren't just people out on some lonely road at night with no one to corroborate their testimony. No. These were people of high repute and honest reputation. So many people reported seeing them that in 1951, Time magazine ran an article called Great Green Balls of Fire. Hashtag not the STD. What was alarming for US authorities at the time was that the sightings were concentrated around the Los Alamos and Sandia atomic weapons laboratories. And other highly sensitive military installations, including radar stations and fighter interceptor bases, weren't far away. That meant the sightings were reported by typically cool-headed pilots, weather observers, scientists, intelligence officers, and other defense personnel. Of course, this really isn't all that surprising to anyone who has studied even a little bit about the UFO phenomena. It's actually quite common for them to appear around military installations. As Leslie Kean, author of UFOs, Generals, Pilots, and Government Officials Go on the Record, tells us, in 1967, at Malmstrom Air Force Base in Montana, all 10 nuclear missiles were rendered inoperable within 10 seconds of each other when a glowing, red, oval-shaped object hovered over a control center at the base. A week earlier, another facility 35 miles away had been visited by UFOs, losing all its missiles as well. In total, 20 nuclear missiles went down. The missiles were 60 feet underground, and Boeing engineers checked every possible cause for the failures, but were unable to explain them. But back to the green fireballs. The history article tells us that on December 5th, 1948, two separate plane crews reported seeing one. One of the planes had to swerve out of the way because the fireball was headed straight for it. Later, one of the pilots described the fireballs as such. Take a softball and paint it with some kind of fluorescent paint that will glow a bright green in the dark. Then have someone take the ball out about 100 feet in front of you and about 10 feet above you. Have him throw the ball right at your face as hard as he can throw it. That's what a green fireball looks like. What's more, intelligence officers under the leadership of Dr. Lincoln LaPaz, head of the University of New Mexico's Institute of Meteoritics, plotted the trajectory of the fireball's path and found that there was no evidence to support the thesis that it was a meteorite. Dr. LaPaz, who had witnessed the fireball phenomena with his own eyes, concluded that these were not meteors and were in fact artificial in nature. The sightings continued throughout December of 1948, and on December 20th, the balls of fire descended from the heavens at a 45-degree angle, then abruptly leveled off into a gravity-defying horizontal flight path. Since then, sightings of these mysterious green fireballs have been seen around the world. But what actually were they? Or are they? One recent theory put forth by Australian physicist Dr. Stephen Hughes hypothesizes that the green balls of fire are in fact cases of what's called ball lightning. According to Phys.org, ball lightning consists of a floating, glowing ball that may drift eerily through the sky and then explode violently, sometimes injuring people and damaging buildings. The balls can range in size from a garden pea to globes several feet in diameter and glow for up to 10 seconds. According to an article in the Journal of Physical Chemistry, ball lightning has been known or observed since antiquity and is a natural, long-lived plasma-like phenomenon associated with thunderstorms and is not well understood due to its rarity and unpredictability. But the scientific community didn't take ball lightning as a phenomenon seriously until the 1960s, as the article points out, well after the New Mexico sightings. However, it does go on to explain that there is still no conclusive theory of what ball lightning is, but hypotheses include antimatter, light bubbles, microwave interference, retinal after images, electromagnetic knots, even primordial black holes. Dr. Hughes also believes that the erratic change in direction is reasonably conclusive proof that the phenomenon is electrical in nature. But is it? There are countless testimonies from people around the world who are experienced in observing aerial phenomena that agree. Being able to accelerate and accomplish maneuvers that apparently defy the known laws of physics are something that UFOs are known to do. Luis Elizondo, former head of the U.S. Department of Defense's Advanced Threat Identification Program, has gone on the record as saying that the existence of unidentified flying objects using technology more advanced than human capabilities has been proved beyond reasonable doubt. And that? It was enough where we began to see trends and similarities in incidents. There were very distinct observables: extreme maneuverability, hypersonic velocity without a sonic boom, speeds of 7,000 to 8,000 miles per hour, no flight surfaces on the objects. A lot of this is backed with radar signal data, gun camera footage from aircraft, multiple witnesses. There was never any display of hostility, but the way they maneuvered, in ways no one else in the world had, you have to be conscious something could happen. Of course, there's also the fact that there were no reports of thunderstorms on the nights that the green balls of fire were observed. And when the natural explanation involves just as many, if not more, leaps and bounds of logic than the extraterrestrial one, it does make you wonder, if one is possible, why not the other? Well, Dr. Hughes says he believes in UFOs being literal, unidentified flying objects. He says that he just doesn't think there are little green men at the controls. Well, it's a good thing he doesn't believe in straw man arguments either. Other explanations for the green fireballs have included nuclear debris fallout and secret Soviet devices.
It's the goddamn Russians!
Of course, when Project Blue Book came around to investigate, they found that the experts there had quite a different idea. When Edward J. Ruppelt, director of the U.S. Air Force Project Blue Book UFO investigations, visited the Los Alamos National Laboratory in early 1952 to interview scientists and technicians, he noted that they became particularly animated when the idea of interplanetary vehicles was suggested. They had been doing a lot of thinking about this, they said, and they had a theory, wrote Ruppelt in the report on unidentified flying objects in 1953. They thought the fireballs were actually extraterrestrial probes projected into our atmosphere from a spaceship hovering several hundred miles above Earth. The eventual official explanation for the green fireballs was that they were some never-before-seen natural phenomena, and they were quickly forgotten when the Korean War broke out. Out of sight, out of mind. Just how Project Blue Book rolled. In case you're wondering, a total of 12,618 UFO sightings were reported to Project Blue Book, 701 of which remain unidentified. Of course, that didn't stop them from concluding that 1. No UFO reported, investigated, and evaluated by the Air Force has ever given any indication of threat to our national security. 2. There has been no evidence submitted to or discovered by the Air Force that sightings categorized as unidentified represent technological developments or principles beyond the range of present-day scientific knowledge. And 3. There has been no evidence indicating that sightings categorized as unidentified are extraterrestrial vehicles. Really? And yet, we have the case of the Great Green Fireballs, which they came to explain away as some unknown natural phenomena. And this says nothing about the hundreds of other cases that they weren't able to explain either. Whether they were ball lightning, nuclear debris, Soviet spy devices, or probes from a mothership, the mystery of the green fireball still continues today, as do many other sightings of UFOs. But what do you think? For more information on UFO sightings in general, I really must highly recommend Leslie Kean's book, UFOs, Generals, Pilots, and Government Officials Go on the Record. But I gotta warn you, once you start down that rabbit hole, there's no coming back to Earth. Get it? UFOs, or come back to... Hey everyone, if you like this video, please do like, share, and subscribe. And also check out some of my other videos. And if you do feel so inclined, join us on social media, leave a tip in the tip jar, or become a patron on Patreon. Until next time.